Diana Taurasi famously said reality is coming for Caitlin Clark when she gets to the WNBA. But the reality is Taurasi also has a ton of respect for Clark, as she expressed following the Fever's win over the Phoenix Mercury in the first ever career head-to-head matchup. Taurasi was on the podium following the game. This was captured by Jet Metcalf covering the broadcast and the post game. And here's what Taurasi had to say.
I mean, it's amazing. What Kitten's been able to do in her short career so far has just been nothing short of remarkable. And the one thing that I really love about her, she loves the game. You can tell she's put the work in, and even throughout her short WBA career, it's been a lot of pressure, a lot of things thrown at her, and she keeps showing up and keeps getting better every single game. So her future is super bright, and being a veteran and being in the league for a long, long time, it's pretty cool to see that, and going into the future.
Ultimate respect from the woman who was once voted the GOAT by WNBA fans to the much heralded rookie who came one rebound away from being the first ever rookie to record a triple-double in what was still a marvelous performance for Clark and the Fever. Of course, Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell got it going in the second half, as I touched on, and apparently Caitlin was dealing with a migraine, so she didn't do the post-game press conference and talk herself afterwards. But there were a lot of cool moments in this one, right? Like there was the walking off the floor, which is pretty crazy to see on the road, to see a player on the road like Caitlin Clark walk off the floor and receive the kind of ovation that she did. I mean, that is different. That's not something that is a typical occurrence in any sport, right? To see a player walk off the floor and get that sort of crowd response. That's not Indiana, right? That's not Indiana. That is in front of the Phoenix Mercury fans. Clark making her way to the back and signing autographs and the like, as she tends to do. But there were cool moments between Clark and Taurasi out on the floor as well in this one. It wasn't limited to just what Diana said after the game. The two of them had a few moments that were noticeable, including, embracing before the game started, where Clark embraced both Taurasi and Brittany Griner, who came out to her. As it seems like any of that talk about the vets, not being fond of Clark or resenting Clark, if it existed, and I think it did with some, but it seems to have dissipated. I think we're past all the ugliness, which is really nice to see. Game recognized game, real recognized real. I mean, Diana Taurasi, such a competitor, such a legend of the sport, and she's going for 6 gold medal and all these different accomplishments that she's had throughout her career that deserve recognition as well, including the fact that she's still playing at the level that she's playing at, right? Like, that's not a normal thing to see. It's not normal to see someone be 42 years old and play as well as Diana Taurasi is playing. I think she had 19 points in this game also. And here was one of the other moments that was shared between the two on the floor during this game. You're only going to get to see them go against each other for the first time once. I imagine Diana's very entertaining, whatever she's saying there, whatever she wound up saying to Caitlin Clark in that moment. And, if Clark didn't get to talk to the media after the game, this one, because she was sick or not feeling well, as Christy Sides put it. But it's funny because the last time she had to ask them to ask questions to Aaliyah Boston, and now, of course, the rest of her teammates get to answer the questions because she wasn't out there on the podium. I mean, Caitlin speaks to the media plenty, but here was Coach Christy Sides.
So you played Clark like 39 minutes, and then you subbed her in and out a little bit at the end of the game. Any particular reason for that?
Yeah, just work. Just thought I needed a defensive group. Defense was we needed to make sure we got stops, and that was what that was about.
And how is she? Is she okay? They said that she wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, I think she didn't feel well throughout the entire game, so she's with our trainer right now.
That defensive substitution prevented Clark from getting the triple-double she would have otherwise gotten. But nonetheless, it was a big win for the Indiana Fever, and I'm sure players were feeling good coming out of that. First win over a 500 team for the Fever on the season. They now move into a playoff spot. They're passing. They passed the Chicago Sky in that game, and are now positioned in a playoff spot if the season were to end today. It doesn't, but if it were to end today. And Aaliyah Boston did get some time on the podium to talk, and she talked about Taurasi and Brittany Griner and how it is sort of reminiscent of what her and Clark may be able to do.
It's special what DT and BG have been able to do. I think when you look back at their career, I mean, it is amazing, all their accomplishments. And I think with Kayla and I, we're definitely looking to be a great guard post duo. I think we've been able to get a better feel for each other over the course of these games. And so that's definitely something we're going to build on, not to be exactly them, but I mean, we are kind of the same pieces. So yeah.
I love Aaliyah's attitude. I really do. She seems like such a great young woman. And obviously, since struggling at the beginning of the season, she has really picked it up. You've seen that connection with Caitlin Clark out on the floor. You add Kelsey Mitchell to that. That's 3 scorers every single night. Melissa Smith can score a bit too. She's not as strong defensively. Fag Benley is such an energy shifter for the team. The way she is able to move. Erica Wheeler, I praised her in the other video, but she deserves credit too because she comes in as another ball handler to take the pressure off of Clark, another possible scorer out on the floor to alleviate some of that pressure, especially because they're getting nothing from that small forward spot in the starting lineup in Christy Wallace. Katie Lou Samuelson finally hit a 3 later in the game. That's her role to knock down some threes, but you need those other scores. You need a consistent offensive attack, and you have the Clark and Boston two-person game. You obviously have Mitchell and what she's able to do. I like the look that they're getting with Wheeler and Clark on the floor together. And in fact, I think that's worked pretty well in a number of games in succession. And all of a sudden, after all the panic about the early season start, the Fever are doing really well. And any feud talk about Diana Taurasi and Caitlin Clark has been put to bed because, Taurasi's a competitor. Taurasi probably got tired of hearing about all the hype and all that as Clark was coming into the league. But now that that's all been digested and they got that chance to have that special one-on-one moment, Diana gets it. She recognizes it. And Clark recognizes Taurasi as well. GOAT recognized GOAT, I guess you could say.